Hmm. I tried to schedule this in advance, and that worked out well or not, but still trying to figure out this whole live streaming thing, but it's okay. I'll figure it out here one of these days. So hopefully people can at least hear me and see me okay. So we've got a few viewers. Nobody's commented yet. Top chat. Do live chat. Hey, there we go. Steven Park, how are you? Okay, good deal. Good deal. All righty. Regard party, Anna. Okay, everybody looks chat. All right. Good deal. All righty. Well, I had unfortunately here about a week or so ago, we got some unfortunate news that one of the pioneers of our industry, Mr. Jim Dunlop, unfortunately passed away after a long and illustrious life in the guitar gear industry. And, while we all know, we all know the name Jim Dunlop. We all know, we all know the Dunlop products. I'm sure, the vast majority of us use a Dunlop product on a regular basis, some kind. A lot of his products, that he's most well known for are things like strings and picks and, things of that nature that a lot of us tend to take for granted. And, still those little things oftentimes that those little things make such a huge huge difference in the lives of guitar players. Jim Dunlop was very, very passionate about guitar picks of all things. And he came out with all different shapes and sizes and thicknesses and materials and designs, for guitar in particular. And when you walk into any guitar shop, you've got you the guitar picks that you see. You see a few Claytons, you see a few of the Star picks, you see a few, some of those other varieties that are out there. Ernie Ball's got some stuff, but the vast, then you got an entire wall of Jim Dunlop, and all the, and all of the different stores, and most stores don't even carry all of it. So, it's pretty remarkable everything that brought to the guitar industry. And it's pretty amazing. And it's for us that he's passed on, but his legacy will live on. I personally am I've always been a Dunlop pick user. I have an Ultex right here on my desk that I use fairly often. My favorites though are the Max grip that I've been using the Max grips for several years now because I like the grip on them. And earlier in my I was using I was a Tordex guy for a long time, and then I discovered the Gator grips, which are similar to the Tordex's grip stuff on them. And so I was using those pretty liberally. And pretty cool stuff. And but I started using the Ultexes here on occasion anyway. They're not my main pick, but I do like them every now and again. Part tip, I like the material, just good picks. So what's everybody else like to use? I see our Tiller Mitch likes very, very popular. Jazz threes are, those things are so small, and I'm not a real speedy picky. I've never been real good with them, but I know they're extremely popular. The stubbies, those are cool because of the finger indentures on each side, which is what Park uses. Dave's an Ultex guy. Uh, the can you just one kind of Dunlop pick? Michael D says I can't use just one three Ultex sharps. Andy James signature flow. Most recently, the Jim Root Jazz threes. I've seen the Jim Roots. I haven't actually gotten my hands on them, but that'd be, I've kind of, I don't know, man. I mean, like I said, with Jazz threes, they're great picks, and I know a lot of people use them, but they're so small, and I'm two hand is really, 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 really sloppy. So the standard size are a little bit more conducive to my playing. But let's see, gravity picks. RJ uses gravity picks. What are gravity picks? I've heard of them, but I don't think those are Dunlops, are there? Those are somebody else, aren't they? Yep. So anyway, but all kinds of Dunlop picks, all kinds of Dunlop picks, and they're their guitar strings are fantastic. I've always been a an Ernie Ball. I've always been a slinky guy. Voice, for the last, I guess I probably tried them for the first time about 10 years ago, Dunlop strings, and first time about 10 years ago, and ever since then they've kind of always been my number two. And I've still even will decide to grab a set of Dunlop strings instead of my standard slinkies, just because I like it, really I like them just as well. And they're great strings. So one other thing that I know about the Dunlops, for some reason they're really, really long. Guitar with a great big headstock on it or something that might require a little bit of extra string. The Dunlops are great for that. I may lose some viewers here because here's Pete Thorne is going live right now. So according to my YouTube app, that is giving me an alert. So boy, now do we have any loyal Dunlop string users in here? Also, here, what's up, Joe? Our Sunrise model. You can't do a show without Mixar Distortion Plus 105 beat. I really like the 105Q. That's the bass crybaby wah, and it's the current version is really it's they market it and they sell pedal, and it's a really, really cool pedal, but really what it is it's an envelope filter controlled by a foot treadle, and those are excellent pedals. Heavy core strings, I like the heavy cores a lot. Particularly what I like about the heavy cores, like string for a down-tuned guitar, because the tension on them is a little bit higher, and so they feel they give me the tension of your string, but not necessarily without that much weight, because I prefer light strings. On my standard tuned guitars and my guitars that are 2.5 step down, those guitars I usually run 9 to 46 or 9 to 42 or 9 to 46. So I put Explorer the other day for the first time in a while, and it's they're okay, but I just but yeah, I do I agree with you, Joe. I do like the heavy core strings quite a bit. Interesting thing, the same guy that designed all the Dunlop strings is actually the same guy that designed all of the DR strings. So those two are actually very, very similar, but Dunlop actually sells them at a price point of a couple of dollars a set less than DR. So if you are a DR guy, you don't want to spend, or gal, and you don't want to spend DR money, buy Dunlops. They're very very similar. Um, Dunlop string. Ryan Sawyer about a week or so ago. Uh, yeah, yes, Ryan. Jim Dunlop unfortunately passed away here about a week ago. Was 8 days or so ago now, maybe. Um, it's been very very recently. So news, and unfortunately, this is the first chance that I've had to talk about it. You know, but he's a lot to our industry, um, a lot to our industry. The now let's see. I'm reading comments while I'm trying to talk here at the same time. So we're about a week or so. He was a 12 set for 5 years. What did he do? Just age. He was. It was just his time. He. I want to say he was probably in his 80s, maybe, yeah, something like that. Because I think he was born in 1939. So, it was just his time. So, it wasn't any kind of health complications or anything like that. It was just time. So, as all we all come to eventually, unfortunately. So yeah, he was 82. Um, Ready ball strings. I do love my Music Man guitar. Do love it quite a bit, even though the battery died on me, right in the middle of shooting day. But uh, you know, that happens. So part of that's my fault because I left it plugged in overnight with a cable in it, drain the battery. So yes, he will. Jimmy Dunlop Jr. My understanding is, it's actually, been really the man in charge for a while now, and has, basically done everything, to carry on his father's legacy. He has been for quite some time. So, there hasn't been any major changes. The Yeah, they make great pedals too. They make great pedals. I've already talked about the Crybaby bass. It's of course the all the the Crybaby wall pedals in general are legendary these days. You can't. Most anybody that's looking for their first wah pedal or an inexpensive wah pedal or something basic or something simple. I mean, the go-to is and has been for years. Um, the the Dunlop, the original Crybaby. Not the why is the I can't believe the model. I mean, not the 535Q, but the GCB 95. Thank you. GCB 95 is that one sells for about $70 or so. Uh, um, just basically anywhere that sells uh, that's a Dunlop dealer, not to mention they're all over the place on the, I mean, that pedal is absolutely everywhere. And, there's been so many different reiterations of it and versions of it that have come out. They got the Fazzle, they got the 535Q, they've got then of course, everybody and their brother has got a signature model of it nowadays. You got the Slash, you got the Jerry Can, the Kirk Hammett, you got the Dime, you got the, I think they're still making the Dime. Um, yeah, all kinds of stuff. So, and that's just Dunlop. Another thing that I've noticed here in recent years is they're actually starting to put out a few more pedals on the Dunlop brand name, which is things like the Echoplex. Like the Echoplex pedals. There's the Echoplex the preamp pedal, and then there's the Echoplex delay that are both actually released under the Dunlop moniker as opposed to MXR. I'm gonna get them in. But Rob, you should have more subs. I believe me, I really, really wish that I had more subs, but unfortunately, I don't. I can't control that. The only thing I can control is, the content that I put up on YouTube, and keep it as current as possible, such as, talking about the life and legacy of Jim Dunlop. However, sometimes when it comes to gear demos, without the support of some of the bigger companies behind me, because just about everything on this channel is completely funded out of my own pocket. So without all of that, sometimes I am limited to my resources, but that's okay. It's taken me a while to get to where now, but it's all been worth it. I really do enjoy creating, being a YouTube creator quite a bit. So if you'd like to support the channel, though, there is a little tip jar $sign down there below the chat screen, and if anybody is interested in supporting the channel, that is where all of those proceeds go to this channel, so that I can continue creating content. So let's see. MXR 10 band EQ, those full tone walls are fantastic, but again, a similar design, a similar take on the Crybabies, and that's, I can't recall. I think maybe the Vox walls, maybe the first out. Of course, those were made famous by Jimi Hendrix, and I think he used a Vox, but I guess it's debatable who came up with the original design. Vox may have come up with it originally, but Jim Dunlop definitely perfected it. So, and again, that design's been used over and over and over and over and over again. Let's see, all my other guitar playing. Hey, there's James. How are you? What's up, buddy? Taking kids to school now. Oh, well, I guess must be Monday morning over there in your part of the world, which would make. So I am just stopping in here Sunday afternoon to hang out with you guys here for a little bit in the middle of getting my income taxes and stuff together. So everybody keep your fingers crossed that you kind to us this year. Let's see. The G spot. There's, by the way, it looks like Tony's joined us. If you guys want to go check out a new channel, go check out Tony's channel called the G Spot. I linked up to that in a video here. Tony has been a big. I've gotten a lot of guidance with this channel from a lot of conversations from Tony. He's just a really smart guy, and if it's something that requires electricity, he knows just about all there is to know about it. And that includes the internet. Yeah, I think the Vox wall was first, to be honest. But again, the Vox wall may have come first, but I think eventually once Dunlop got a hold of that, the crowd have perfected it and come out with all the different variations of it. So now there's a Vox wall, there's a Crybaby for just about everybody. I'll support just place each play. Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, Park he actually is builds his own pedals and wants to send me a couple of his designs to demo, so that ought to be pretty cool. Brad Plunkett came up with the original wall design. Yep, could be. So yeah. Yeah, so that's a lot of his legacy. Let's not forget when they acquired MXR. MXR, of course, they've had some of their own legendary pedals in the '70s, and then then some point in the mid '80s, all of a sudden they were dead in the water, and Dunlop picked them up and not only revived the entire brand, but made them better than they ever have been. And some of those designs were, of course, were old classic designs. The MXR, the Phase 90 and the Distortion Plus both come to mind. Those were around, but then when years later, when Dunlop started coming out with other versions of those pedals, of course they came out with all the cut stuff, and all the '70s reissues that were getting so hard to find. You couldn't find those you couldn't find those, a script, an old script 90 without shelling out some big money on the used market. If you could find one, that's if you could find one in the condition you were looking for. So they have, they came out and reissued all those different custom shop designs now that they're available, that are now available to everybody. And let's see, what's up, Mod Wiz? They all, God, what else? The Phase 90. I mean, think of all the different versions of that pedal that are out now. The the EVH, of course, has been real popular. That's got the motion control on it. I've been, the one I've been most impressed with though is the Phase 95 that most recently came out about a year and a half or so ago. Because that's got most of those, most of those old Phase 90 tones all wrapped up in not just one pedal, but a little miniature stomp box or mini sized pedal, and it's fantastic. I use mine, anytime I go to a phaser. It's not even what I grab anymore. Pardon me. Let's see. Dwight Bailey. Yeah, MXR, of course, everybody was kicked in the teeth by Boss back in the '80s, though. And, you guys know how much I love Boss pedals. So, I think the video went up yesterday morning, I think should have been, pretty good evidence of that, because that new reiteration of the new Wazacraft edition of the Metal Zone is nothing short of absolutely awesome. Pedal that's a great pedal. Hey Alan, what is the advantage of running your pedals through the front of the amp rather than through the effects loop or vice versa? The biggest advantage that I see up front is it's supposed to be more of a disadvantage of going into the effects loop, because if you go that way, obviously you give up your effects loop. And in doing that, it kind of, you're stuck in that point running chorus and delay and tremolo and all that type of stuff right in the same line as distortions, overdrives, things of that nature. So if it's just a single distortion pedal or something like that, like the for example, the Metal Zone, the Metal Zone running straight into the pre, that's all that there is to use, and not worried about delay or any of the other stuff. Really there isn't any disadvantage. If you want to start incorporating other effects into it, that's always been my big, not my big, but that's always been the that I've had with making a habit of running pedals straight into the effects loop, is because, like I said, I don't necessarily always want to give up my effect. In the original Metal Zone, of course, that's been discovered recently that a lot of people have gotten some great tones out of it, myself included. So new Metal Zone though seems to sound great, both through the front and through and into the effects loop. So try different ways and see what happens. The other disadvantage of going into the preamp section on your amplifier is rendered completely useless at that point. So turn the knobs all you want, it does nothing, unless it's a presence and a resonance control. So, mm, yes, the Zach Wild, pedals. I've not used his phaser. I've not used the Zach Wild Phase 90 or whatever that thing's called. Um, I, I've not used that. I've used I did a demo a long time ago on the Zach Wild Chorus, MXR Zach Wild Chorus pedal. It was great. Um, unfortunately, the guy that I was borrowing it from to demo wouldn't come off of it. uh, and he's it was a gift from a family member, so I'm going to get rid of it. And but it was one I would have liked to have had in my collection. Great pedal, and of course, the Zach Wild, the Zach Wild Overdrive is was MXR's. That was basically their version of a Boss SD1, which Zach Wild had been using prior to them coming out with its own signature model. But yeah, they make great pedals. That Zach Wild Overdrive, they run that thing into the front of a Marshall. Oh, yeah, that thing sounds killer. Color not. All right. Fenders, new rotary. The pinwheel. Yeah, I saw the fenders. I haven't seen that particular one, but I haven't seen any of them. But I heard the guys on the Practical Guitars podcast were talking a couple right after the NAMM show. The Fender came out with a whole new line of pedals, and I'm surprised I didn't see them. Because they came out with a whole new line last year, and I don't know if these new ones that are meant to replace those, because I thought those were pretty good. I really enjoyed the Pugilist distortion that I have. Even though the idea of it didn't come out very good, that one didn't sound very well at all. It was really bright, even with the treble turned all the way down. So I don't know if it was me or just the way it was recorded was. But regardless, I do really like that pedal. I think it sounds great. And there's several others in that line to try, but I heard they came out with some new ones again this year, and I haven't gotten a chance to see them. I may look those up here when I'm done here. Yep, Analog Man mod stuff is good. Very cool. I've not heard their mod on the DS1, but the OC. I'd have to look that up. I've never heard of Zach using an OCD, but no, it wouldn't surprise me. The Electra brand years ago. I've gotten a hold of. They were, of course, they had taken a lot of guitars back in the 70s, early 80s, and I've back in my store days. Just so you guys, John Gillies asked me, Robert, have you ever played any of the guitars? So they were real big back in the 70s and early 80s. I have played several of them. Actually, a buddy of mine had a model called I think it's called the Phoenix. It's kind of a pointy guitar looking thing. And, it was a cool guitar. Played back in my store days, quite a few, we'd buy one in used every now and then, and I think they were the ones that was effect modules that were actually on board the guitar. And they made like 7 or 8 of them. They were all you could have like 3 of them installed at one time. They were all interchangeable. Cool design. Definitely a design ahead of its time anyway. But those are several of them. I like them. But they're cool. They're just, they're one of those things that are, they're not what I would normally gravitate towards is all. But I do like them. I think they did have some cool designs. Even great pedals are compromised with port. And Modwiz says even great pedals are poor speakers. Speakers get dropped out a lot, so that will be the focus of my gear-oriented videos. They are the last word in single chain. That's true. Although I believe that guitar players are, the guitar industry as a whole is beginning to pay more attention to. We're starting to give speakers a little bit more credit than they deserve. So, I see a lot of people that are really, really concerned with what speakers are on what cab or what amp combo. That's becoming more and more. So, we're starting to see a lot more of that. Let's see. So yeah. What? I don't know. Is that, anybody got any other favorite Dunlop or MXR products that they really enjoy? I'll tell you something that umbrella that I have really enjoyed here recently, and that is the line of Way Huge pedals. So under the Dunlop umbrella, Dunlop, they own and make, the Way Huge pedals are now made by Dunlop, and that was another brand. Of course, Way Huge pedals started out, started life. That was those were George Tripp's designs, and they still are today. He still designs and builds all of them, but but now that he's got the backing of Dunlop behind him, I think now we're really starting to see that brand take off here in the last 10 years or so, a lot more so than it had before. Of course, the classics like the Red Llama and the Green Rhino, been out forever. Both, they may have discontinued both of the reissues of those already. To be honest, I don't know. I haven't seen a Green Rhino sold in a while, but one of the new ones, that is. But I did do a demo of the Saucy Box overdrive here recently, and that overdrive pedal was killer. I wouldn't, that's one that I'm glad I got a hold of, and it's really opened my eyes to, not just the genius of George Tripp's, the power of of Jim Dunlop, and this is another thing that he did for our industry that we don't give a lot of credit for. The power of him and his marketing and his distribution to get those products into our hands, so that everybody has an opportunity, might have an opportunity to try them out and see if it's a good fit for them. Right now, especially with pedals and stuff, we've got the boutique industry that's booming. But to be said for the big pedal companies that have been around for a long, long time and doing it for decades and have this giant distribution and dealers all over the world, because they're still that are coming up with designs for pedals that are just as great as they've always been, and a lot easier, a lot more accessible than some of the other smaller boutique pedal companies that are out there. So check it out. Jaw hit the floor. Michael D says, V-twin, okay. I love it. Gives you so much more control over time. Michael D's my favorite MXR pedal as recently as the FET driver. I've seen it. I've not actually got it. Is that their two screamer circuit? I'm assuming, or you just happen to like it better than your date. Either way. Yep, that's true. Horizon devices. Park Kingery says Horizon are built by him, and I believe I think they're actually licensed by MXR. Is how that's set up. So, or Dunlop rather, maybe built. Built. I mean, obviously they're built in the same factory, but Horizon does all of their own. They marketing and stuff like that. It's kind of like EVH with Fender, but on a little bit smaller scale. But you are correct. they are, Horizon devices are that same umbrella. So, yeah, just as any MXR pedal, they're they seem to be built pretty well. I don't have any, though. I would love a drive, but one day. Russian Pickle is on my list here. That's their Russian Big Muff clone. I think that came out here last year, if memory serves. Uh, Michael D's referring to the Way Huge Russian Pickle. So, if there's anybody that came up with an original George Trips and Way Huge, probably took that idea and improved on it quite a bit. So, I like Phil McKnight too. Modwiz says, I like Phil McKnight too, but it is a pleasure that is not flying by. Thank you for doing these streams, Robert. My pleasure. To be honest with you, I kind of wish that there were enough people in here that the chat would be flying by. On here, keeping it moving a little bit. But my hope with doing these live streams is give me an opportunity to interact with you guys a little, talk about some things that may be on my mind. Actually, most importantly, it's an opportunity for me to, and to be quite honest with you, just so that I'm being transparent with everybody. I've had a number of viewers recently that have contacted me looking for ways to support the channel, be it financially or whatever. And unfortunately, until I hit 100,000 subscribers, that's not available on my channel, but it is available on the live chat streams. So. So while it's not there all the time for people, somebody does want to, contribute and, help support the channel. This is an opportunity for us to hang out together and, for everybody to do that. So, like I said, all those funds go straight back into, into supporting this and doing what I. Let's see. Any experience? Alan Chair experienced the Alexander pedals, particularly the Neo series. I have not played any of the Alexander pedals, unfortunately. Hey, we're at now. Cool. I've not played any of the Alexander pedals. I know they're gaining popularity, and I think I might be confusing them with Matthews effects, but I think Guitar Center just recently picked them up too. So, which is a good thing. That's always a big step for any company to gain some more momentum and continue to grow. But I haven't had a chance to play any of them, unfortunately. I have not been. They've crossed my path. John Gilly says, "What do you think about the Vox Satriani distortion and time machine?" I actually own a time machine, and I've used that delay pedal in several of my videos, and one because it's for all intents and purposes it's a fairly simple delay, and it's one of the it's one of two that I have that I actually have a built tap tempo switch on the same pedal itself. As far as the way it sounds, it sounds okay. It's it's definitely sounding delay, but it's also kind of it can be a little quirky and can be kind of tough to to dial in. It's kind of the vintage loads on it are kind of cool. The tap tempo on it is obviously very, very convenient. But here's my ESP. Pardon me. But I like it. It's been useful, but the best delay that I've ever heard. But it's been useful regarding the distortion. It's what was that one called? The Saturator, I think it was, and then the Ice 9, I think, was the Overdrive. The Saturator, I actually kind of liked it. It's unfortunate that they got discontinued. You can buy those things dirt cheap. on the used market. So I mean, they kind of ran their course, and I don't know why the value of those pedals all absolutely tanked market, but for some reason they did. I think I bought that delay pedal I bought it used 6-7 years ago for $50, which was cheap. Tap tempo delay on the used market then, and I'm not sure I could give it away for that. So for whatever reason, the values of those things completely tanked. But now they're sleepers. I think maybe it'd be one of those things that down the road people the pedal up to and decides this that hot new thing to grab. Like the Digitech Bad Monkey overdrive. It did here in the last couple of years, and values will start to increase. Dark Shield Soda. Hi, bro. What's up, man? So yeah, I haven't tried an Ice 9 in a long time. I couldn't. At the time that I played it, it was a time that I wasn't really into overdrives much. So I was kind of indifferent about it. But so yeah, I don't know. What what else? Jim Dunlop's. Just based on the products that that they have put out. The the G Spot says, "You ever use the green screamer?" Yes, I own one. That's that was one of my earlier employee purchases back in my store days, and I was so excited because I don't think I'd ever gotten a deal so good on it over my life. But I do have that one. That one's it can be trebly in my opinion anyway. It's kind of trebly and it can get away from me compared to some of the other Tube Screamer circuits. But I don't know. I haven't dug it out in a while. I'll have to check that one out again sometime. Yeah. James says the only pedals I have experience with are in my car. I'm learning a lot listening to you guys. James, I'm telling you, go down to your local guitar center or music shop or wherever it is that sells used pedals, and buy a used distortion and overdrive pedal and just take them home, plug them around with them. A lot of you'd be surprised what what you can get out there for very under $50, new and honest. So start plug it in, start twisting some knobs, and see if you get some sounds that you like. That's how I look. Let's see. I found it was a bit more manageable than some other. The G Spot Tony says I found it was a bit more manageable than some others. Could got a unicorn. I don't know. Again, that's one of those things I'd have to. I haven't plugged that thing in a while. I need to AB that thing with Screamers or other Tube Screamer circuits anyway, and see. Just kind of see what the end result might be. Like I always liked it, but again, that was at a time that I wasn't really used overdrives very much. So, pedal that I regret selling. Park Kingery says, which pedal do you regret selling? Mine is the Dean Markley Overlord 2 pedal. I don't know that I've ever pedaled. Just about every one that I can think of that I have sold, and I haven't sold too many of them. Honestly, most of the ones I've ever bought, I've kept. I don't really regret selling really hardly any. The only thing I can think of that I might regret would be had an original HM2 when I was a kid. And, as much as that pedal sounds like, a beer can full of angry bees, and I'm not into the chainsaw death metal tone at all. It's, just knowing what that pedal's worth now is, probably the reason why I wish that I still had it. But it's not like it's something that I would be using. So and matter of fact, I remember I sold that thing off and used the money to put towards my metal zone. So my first metal zone. That's the only one that really the only pedal that I can think of that I've sold that I regret selling. I remember selling my Digitech Whammy 4 and being extremely grateful for that. I couldn't get rid of that thing fast enough. The metal muff I've bought and sold 3 times, and admittedly, the last time I owned one was specifically to make a video so I could make fun of it. But the first 2 times that I owned that pedal, I gotta admit, I tried hard. I really, really wanted to love that pedal, but sorry, I just kid. I don't know how Rob Chapman got that thing to sound as good as he did when the video that Anderson's did when Rob Chapman was playing through all these different metal distortion pedals blindfolded, to find the best sounding one, and the metal muff is the one that came out the winner. And there's been a lot of metal muff lovers that have thrown that video in my face as an argument to to the fact that my video was wrong. Even you guys, I'm sure, have seen it, and I hate that answer, I hate that pedal, but I tried to love it, man. I really did. All right, I can't get that thing to sound good at all. But the last time that a viewer actually contacted me and wanted to buy it directly, so I, he said he'd love to buy it from me as long as I autographed it in silver Sharpie. So I did that. I had pictures of it up on the Facebook page. Let's see. The big Boss display. John Gilly says, do they still have the Boss demo centers to try pedals out? I think they've moved away from the Boss display altogether and gone more to a not necessarily a branded type of pedal demo section, but it's been a number of years since I've actually worked in the store, so I'm not real sure what standard operating is for that nowadays. Modwis says TC Electronic can give one a Dark Matter Mojo Overdrive version for around $100. I have the Dark Matter and a Soul Food, so skip the Mojo. Yeah, unfortunately though, I think TC Electronic just recently raised the price on the Dark Matter and maybe the Mojo both. Now they're up around the $80 range, unfortunately, instead of below. But honestly, I thought they, as good as both of those sound, I thought they should have been charging more for it anyway. Michael D says, I regretted selling my Proco Rat so much I bought it, and I wish I had the HM2 too, particularly to get the old Swedish metal sound. The Rat it's kind of unique because we're in between a distortion and a fuzz, but that's another one of those. I've never really cared for it, but Elect just came out with one, and I'm hoping to get a hold of one to demo on the channel. They just came out with one called the Flatiron Fuzz, which is basically their Rat clone, and the demo of that sounds really, really good. So I'm actually curious to try it. All right, 48. Mm-hmm. Yeah. G Spot says, "Thank God the Big Boss display is gone." That was a cool. It was a cool design, but painting it because the inside of it was actually pretty poorly constructed. It was short connections and things like that were common in those displays. So, yeah, but G Spot says nothing against the pedals, just the ungodly noise when you turned it on. They were all on. Yeah, that's true. As soon as you plugged it in first thing in the morning, they all came on at the same time. And so whoever was assigned with that to go around all four sides and shut everything off, because otherwise it would just feeding back like crazy out of four amplifiers. Sucking. So yeah. Go back here and check. No super chats members yet. I'll be honest, I have no idea what that is. Right now, I'm really, well, I don't know if anybody even got an alert that I was going to be doing this live stream today. I thought I had scheduled it, send out an alert. I don't know if it worked or not, but like I said, I'm still learning the ropes of this live stream thing. This is still all pretty new to me. But I did want to, and I'm going to wrap this up here in a minute. I did want to jump on here and most importantly, interact with you guys directly a little bit more, and also, talk about, once again, the legacy of Mr. Jim Dunlop Sr., because as he, as he, he's contributed as much to the guitar industry as anybody, and I'm talking about the Ted McCartys and the Leo Fenders, and Jim Dunlop is one of those guys. He's that kind of legacy. So it's unfortunate that he's gone, but his legacy will live on, and of course his children, Jimmy Jr. rather, seems to be continuing to carry on the legacy that his father started and built. And I'd be honest with you, if it wasn't for Jim Dunlop making manufacturing picks, you can buy a pack, a dozen Dunlop picks for $4 or so nowadays, and it's buy an extra package of them just to throw it in the guitar case. And I have done that several times, and that has saved me plenty of times. I got into a gig and realized that I forgot of all things to grab a guitar pick, and I happen to have some spares sitting in the case. And I know we're talking about just okay. It's good. Some of you get notifications. That's good. And even though I know we're talking about something as I don't want to say insignificant, but something that as simple as a guitar pick, inexpensive as a guitar pick. These are pretty important tools for guitar players. For those of us who use picks anyway. So anyway, thank you all for stopping in, hanging out with me today while I talked about Jim Dunlop. Not the most exciting subject, maybe not the most exciting live stream, but these are I'll get better at this. and hopefully, I'm not as polished as as Pete Thorne is, but hopefully one day I'll get there. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in once again, and please, by all means, share this with your friends and invite them to come and hang out next time, and we'll see you guys soon. Over and out.